Morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Blevins. I'm the proud principal of Woodrow Wilson Middle School. On behalf of my administration, myself, Ms. Menderata, Mr. Zucchino, I'd like to welcome you today. Today, we're blessed to have some students with us, some teachers. Mr. Hockley will be speaking in a few minutes, but I'd like to thank you for joining us today and taking some time out of your day to spend it with us, talking about important issues. I'd also like to extend a thank you to our PTA president, Ms. Natalie Lee, and her board, Girish Warrior and Jocelyn Waga, for supporting our initiative. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sedler, who is a teacher at Woodrow Wilson Middle School and is instrumental in coordinating our coffee chats this year. So, Ms. Sedler.
Thanks, Ms. Blevins. Good morning, everyone. So I'm so happy to see so many faces back for our next coffee chat. Just a little bit of a background. We have been doing these coffee chats for the past 2 years as an effort to include parents in knowing what's going on in our school. We've been focusing on social emotional learning for the past 2 years as a building. And as you all know, once the pandemic hit, social emotional learning just became even more prevalent in the lives of our students. And we're so grateful to have so many supportive parents, because with so many of our students learning at home, you are playing an instrumental role in that education as well. So Ms. Gaudioso is here with us today. She is our wingman advisor, along with Lily, Payush, and Amanda. They are 3 of our wingman students who are going to do an activity with us a little later into our program today. And I am going to turn it over to Mr. Ian Hockley, who is the founder of Dillon's Wings of Change and the Wingman program. So Mr. Hockley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ms. Sadler, appreciate it. And thank you all for having me here today and giving me some chance to speak to you. I'm calling in from Connecticut. I had spent a lot of time in Jersey last year as the Wingman program was rolling out, but right now I'm, like many of us, stuck working from home and can't travel down, but that will soon change, and we hope to get back to all being together as soon as possible. I'm a relatively recent immigrant to the United States. I moved over in 2011 with my family from England, and we moved to the beautiful town of Sandy Hook in Connecticut, and we moved there in January 2011, and my boys Jake and Dylan went to the elementary school there. And then life changed on December 14th, 2012, and our first grader, Dylan, was one of the 20 children that were killed in the mass shooting at Sandy Hook. And you can imagine that changed life for our family, for our town. We've all lost somebody. We all know what it feels to lose someone important in our life. And you have a lot of decisions to make and how you move forward. And mine was to start Dillon's Wings of Change. That is the name of our foundation. And we started that in 2013 to honor Dylan's memory and to start running programs for children. He was getting the best start in life at Sandy Hook, and we wanted to help all kids get exactly what they needed. And for a couple of years, we were making grants to help organizations help their kids, small organizations that couldn't necessarily raise so much money. And it was in late 2014 that I met, it was actually 2 athletics coaches here in Connecticut, and saw in the program they were running with their athletes, how they got them to bond with each other, how they got them to support each other. And we worked together and we created a program out of what they did. And we called that program Wingman. It's probably appropriate at this point to talk about why we have the butterfly. One of the things that made Dylan amazing was when he got really excited, he would jump up and down and he'd flap his hands. He had autism, and that's one of the ways that autism affected him. And he struggled with his speech development, but he was a really happy little boy. So one day he's jumping up and down, and he's flapping his hands, and his mom, Nicole, asked him, "Dylan, why do you flap?" Now, she wasn't sure if he understood the question or even what he would say. And he said, "Mommy, I'm a beautiful butterfly." And that story stuck with us. And if you think what the butterfly is, it's a small, fragile, yet immensely strong thing. You know, the monarchs fly each year from New England to Mexico. That migration is amazing. And it's also a symbol of change. The butterfly goes through this transformation from the caterpillar through this amazing fearless transformation and becomes a butterfly. And then finally, and I always tell the students this, it's the butterfly effect. And that's in chaos theory, where many small changes will accumulate and can have a massive impact. They say the butterfly will flap its wings and it can cause a hurricane. And really that's at the essence of the program. Many small changes, tens, hundreds, thousands of people deciding, you know, today I'm going to pick someone up, I'm not going to put them down. What an amazing impact that can have on a school. And when the students realize they have that power to change the climate and the culture at their school just by making a small change, that can have a huge impact. So we started the program in 2015 in Connecticut, in 2014, 2015. And a few schools joined in at that time. But we were finding that it was a very hard program to run, to fit in with the school schedule, and the teachers having to learn new material. And so one school that was with us says, you know what, why don't we let the students run this? Can we train them to be the leaders and run this program around the school? Because really all we're doing is playing games. We're leveraging experiential theory. Experiential education is about learning with your whole self, being physically engaged with something, mentally challenged, and emotionally stirred, which really engages you in an activity with your peers. And a carefully sequenced program. And I'll talk about that in a minute, why we carefully sequence it. So we use these fun, engaging games that people want to play once they're into them to help explore all different facets of human connection. Again, a little bit more on that. So once we started training students to run the program, we had this highly motivated group that really wanted to make change in their school, in their community. And that really allowed the program to grow. And we recruited, I think we got to about 20 schools in Connecticut, and we were introduced to New Jersey. And we actually came to Edison first, because I was connected with Beth Maroney. Beth, until recently, was on the board of ed, and she'd been a principal and a teacher in Edison for many years. And Beth helped us get the program started, and Woodrow Wilson was one of our first middle schools that got into the program as well. And pre-COVID, a trainer was able to come into the school, work with the students. And what we do when we work with them, they take part in the program. They experience the games and activities for themselves just as a participant. And I mentioned that we sequence the program. We start slowly. We start with just getting to know each other. Where are our names from? What do we have in common? And as we get to know each other, then we start to trust each other, and the barriers start to come down, and people can start to be their authentic self. You know, we as adults have all been in those situations, whether it's a party where you don't know anyone, or it's a work meeting and everybody's new, and that coldness. And we break the barriers down gently. And then as we see the group really start to bond, we start throwing challenges to them. Challenges that force them to interact and work with each other. Because there's no better way to develop respect for someone when they help you, or you find how you can help them. So we're forging these connections through these games. But then at the end, we allow the participants to reflect, to think, what just happened there? And they're able to talk out how they felt, what they saw in the group. And that reflection really embeds that learning. And the activities and games, well, in person, they're phenomenal. And we've done our best to convert it to the COVID world, because we've been working in this environment now for nearly a year. But when they're in person, almost anything can happen. And that's what we love about them. We don't do an activity that says, you know, today is about kindness or it's about respect, because you never know what's going to happen with the group. And it's about their experience and what they felt. And in one activity, some kids could feel frustration. So let's talk about it. Some kids could feel success because it was their idea. Let's talk about it. So we talk about really whatever happened. And I think that's a very genuine way of allowing people to explore their emotions than being told, you know, this is what respect is, so you better learn it. It's really about, it's about them and their feelings and what it means to them and their generation. So that's what we love about the program. And then in 2020, COVID hit, and we couldn't do in-person programming. So we've done as much as possible. What can we do in this remote setting? And we can still do it. It's harder. It's sometimes more difficult to engage, but those same outcomes are there. And we started small. just with maybe a group of 20 people on a call. We had teachers and adults. We actually opened it up to anyone in the United States. We had people logging in from all over the country. And just ask them the question, what's the best thing about this quarantine and this isolation? Because there are good things, but what are the worst things? And then they draw. I don't think I have my pictures anymore. People would draw what it feels like. And you'd have people tearing their hair out, or people laughing, and people on the phone, and people on computers. And the kids are talking about drawings of their house with everybody at a computer in the room and the Wi-Fi going down, and spending more time with their pets. The one kid that said, I think COVID was caused by my dog because it's getting to spend more time with me now. Just people able to talk about their experience and realize we're all in it differently, but we're all in it. And that sharing started to grow, and people got to understand the struggles, and that, you know, that commonality was something they could anchor to. And that's always been a part of the program. We're all different, and that's fantastic, and we all have something in common. The ultimate aim of the program is to generate empathy, to help foster empathy, because that is the thing that's going to heal society, when we can see someone else and their struggles, whether they're the same or different to us, and we feel we can reach out to them. But you can't start straight with empathy. In fact, we don't believe it's something you learn directly from being taught it. You learn it through experiencing it. And you start with kindness and respect and gratitude. That's why elementary school, we focus on that so much. That's the building blocks. And then you build this pyramid, and this compassion and hope and courage and all those things. And really almost at the top, there is empathy. And that's what we're always striving towards. But carefully sequenced at the start, so that people stay in their comfort zone, and then are slowly encouraged to come out, because change doesn't happen in our comfort zone at the center. It's when we're stretched a little and asked to look up and out. And another part of the program is always trying to look for that consensus. That's really when we get deep into the program. And it's amazing to see the students able to talk out different points of view and try and forge a way forward. When they're told, you know, you can't vote for how you're going to solve this. You all have to be as one mind, and they talk and debate, and there's 3-4 sides, and they come to consensus. And that's something that takes so long. And I think in our society today, we don't spend enough on actually understanding why there's a different point of view, and how maybe there is a common goal that we're all seeking, and how we can get there together. I know that sounds all fancy, but these building blocks go in place. And I've found the middle schoolers and high schoolers I've worked with, when you give them that time and say, we've got half an hour, go work it out, and you can do it, and watch them develop all those buzzwords we like teamwork we want to see, and leadership, just letting them naturally do it without having to instruct them. That growth is phenomenal. There we go. I hope that wasn't too much in one go. That's really the essence of our program and what we're doing. And then really it's for the students and what they want to do with it. Because part of their program with us, the leaders, is saying what school do they want to go to? What's the climate and the culture they want to see in the school? Because they have the power to change it. So some schools are grappling with bullying and mean behavior. Okay, so what can we do to bring the light and positivity and change? Some schools, there are different issues. And it's about that maybe if people are a little more resilient and could just stand up for themselves. So let's talk that out and find out how we do that. Because no one program fits all. And we always hope that Wingman just complements what a school and their students are trying to do, and you as parents want to see. And so, Mrs. Blevins, it's wonderful you asked me to be on. So I would maybe like to throw it open. You know, we have a few minutes, either for a question, or if anybody just wants to share the answer to one of those two things. What's been the best thing about quarantine or isolation or COVID? And what's been the worst thing? And I don't want to mention that there are best things, because we probably all know someone that we've also lost to this pandemic. But as I always told my son Jake, when he asked me how he could ever be happy again after his brother died, I said, we have two hands. On one hand, we maybe have all the bad things that will happen to us. But in the other hand, let's keep all the good things that happen to us. And those two things can maybe balance. So there have been some good sides to this thing. So I'll either take any questions or would love to hear your perspective on the pandemic.
Thank you so much for coming down, getting on the Zoom call and saying everything you said. This means a lot to a lot of students and a lot of parents. They need to realize that the kids are going through this pandemic more than a lot of people, right? So we don't tend to think, because we're already struggling with our all day-to-day routine, and we don't think about, well, I'm getting an echo, I apologize. We don't think about, I'm gonna turn this off.
We can't hear you now. That killed the sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm gonna leave this one. Okay, sorry about that, guys. You would think I would get the technology right for the Zoom calls, but again, so thankful for you being on this call and giving us the insight, and everything that you're doing right now is amazing. Thank you for doing that. I feel the mental health for our kids and our parents and everybody, it's very important right now. And we don't tend to focus on that because we're already going through all this other stuff and we tend to neglect it, but it's very important. And I'm glad you're doing this, and I'm glad all the teachers out there doing this and putting this coffee meetings every other week, I believe, or every month, is it? I think. So again, thank you for being here and doing all this stuff for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And that's that. That's
a little bit zooming. I didn't have my coffee this morning, so I apologize for going all over the place right now.
That's that empathy piece. If we look to ourselves and go, I'm struggling. I know I'm struggling. My partner's struggling. They're struggling as well. And the empathy is the ability to cut them some slack and maybe have that conversation to what great thing happened today. You know, I have a junior at Newtown High School. How was today? Right. But actually, I'd say through this pandemic, he's been more talkative, that he wants to talk out what's going on and how his friends are doing and those ones that are struggling. So maybe there's also that opportunity to have those conversations that we've not had with them before. Thank you.
Maybe I can share. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so you asked the question, what was the good thing and one bad thing, right? I mean, of course, if you look at it holistically, there's nothing good about this, but of course there's still something good that did come out. I think, at least in my family, between us and myself, my daughter and my husband, the fact that we were all sitting at home, working from home, both of me and my husband both, and my daughter is home. There's no commute. We spent way too much time. We got a lot of time with each other. I think like in so many years we've been never this close, because you're always busy running around. You wake up at 6, you go to work, you come back, it's like late evening. But now we didn't have any of that. So I think a lot of time, family time, quality time, we are able to spend with each other. And on the other spectrum from, what is not good is on the same lines, right? That I don't get to go to work. I don't meet my colleagues. My daughter doesn't get to go to school. She, it's her middle school. It's her first year in a new school. She never got to meet her peers. She doesn't have that FaceTime. So, it's a thin line between the good and the bad, but that's the reality. I mean, she wants to go back to school so badly. I wish, sometime soon. So.
Thank you, Mansi. One thing Elizabeth, I can't see all the screens. I can only get 20 on my screen. So Mrs. Blevins, if you see people there. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, how you doing? There is a good and a bad. I'll start with the bad. The bad is not being able to spend as much time together with outside of the immediate family and friends. The good thing, though, is I wonder how many people would have been at this coffee chat if it had been in person, whereas now I'm seeing there's 35 people attending this meeting. I'm also representing Herbert Hoover Middle School at their PTO meetings, and we do it on Zoom. And we've had well over 50 people attending PTA meetings, whereas you get to meet more parents and you get to have more discussion with parents. So I'm not a techie person, but at least I can get on Zoom, and it gives you a chance to actually see and meet some other people that you ordinarily wouldn't meet. So there is something good about it. We just have to keep looking for the end of this, and hopefully those 35 people that are on today, I'll actually get to see in person one day. And I enjoy being invited to things like this. I truly appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Miss Lee, do you want to comment on what Miss Conway said about our PTA meetings? We were just talking about it last week.
I absolutely agree with Elizabeth. I mean, back in the days when we were coming in person, I mean, I remember it was just the board sometimes and like the teachers, and that was pretty much the meeting, maybe a few parents. But I have to say, because of this virtual like Zoom meetings we have, the participants have increased enormously. I mean, I'm so happy to see, like, we get, I think our last meeting was almost 30 parents that joined. So it was really a nice time, time to spend with parents who I haven't seen, even though I haven't met them in person, but it was nice to see them on Zoom. So I have to agree with Ms. Conway that the PTA meetings have increased dramatically. I have to say, maybe this is something we can look for the future and continue doing this even when COVID is over, hopefully soon. I think this is a better way for us to all get together and not leave I know we have so many things going on at home, especially during the time of our meeting, which is 7 o'clock, which is dinner time, of course. So I just want to, I have to say, I have to agree with Mrs. Blevins. This is definitely a positive thing that turned out from COVID. But in the end, it would be nice also just to one day like see each other in person and actually, communicate like one-on-one. So that's my point. I really enjoy, being the PTA president, and it's been nice meeting everybody through Zoom, but I do miss the interaction of the one-on-one.
I like that concept to capture this and going forward. We started a summer camp, completely separate program through meeting a charity in Florida for people with disabilities. It started as a 1 hour a week conversation program, helping people with autism, cerebral palsy, and many different conditions. It was so good, it went to 1 hour a day. And then over the summer, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 8 weeks, all coming to summer camp with cabins. And there were 60 people from 14 to 47. And it's still going. And they wanted to keep going forever. Some of these people can't leave their house without a lot of effort anyway. So Zoom is a great way for them to connect. And now people who said they've never had friends now have 30, 40 friends. And again, and Mr. Blevins, I'll send you the link to the showcase video they made at the end if people want to see. And it shows that, again, capturing the good from this is we've found ways to stay connected. And how do we keep that going to make it even more connected going, and include people who were lost before, people who couldn't get out, students who felt on the margin. How do we ensure they feel embraced and can come back in?
One of our challenges this year, obviously, with running a building, with teaching students remotely, is that we've never done this before. So one of the things that we recognize, I think Ms. Sedler said this in the beginning, is our goal for the last 2 years has been focused on social emotional learning. Little did we know that would be tremendously important when we went to a remote setting in this COVID world. And what we're trying to do as a school, and why we have these coffee chats, why we started them last year, and why we do other activities, is to connect people and get ideas. Like Ian said, you never know what comes out of conversation, what comes out of engagement and activity. And we know that some of our kids are struggling with this time. And, one of the programs that we have is Wingman. Obviously, we have to do that virtually right now. But it's just one of the many programs that we employ in the school to connect students. We have other smaller clubs running, different small groups. We have a fun club and they get on and they play Roblox twice a week in the afternoon. So we're chipping away a little bit at, what this remote world would look like in a school and how to connect students. Of course, it's not the traditional, it's not what we used to do. Of course, we would all like to be in a room together and be able to do an activity and socialize and meet friends, especially for the middle school age. But we're trying to find ways to engage the students. Some things are working, some things aren't, some things we put out there and no one signs up for, but we're kind of learning as we go. And of course, if any of the parents on today, if their child is struggling, we're here, reach out. We'll find a way to connect them, to what they're interested in, or other students that are like them, that they would have commonality with. Or if you have any ideas that you think, your child at home would want to participate in, we're up for it. So I just wanted to put that out there. We're learning some new things. Maybe we'll keep some things as we move forward. But right now it's just really chipping away to make sure that all of our students feel connected and all of us feel connected.
Ms. Blevins, I think that's a great segue to bring on our wingman leaders, our student leaders who are here now. So we have Lily, Payush, and Amanda who are joining us this morning, and they are going to lead you all in an activity that they have done with students at Woodrow Wilson. So even though we are remote at the moment, they've been pushing into 6th and 7th grade classrooms to help students make connections with each other. So I'm going to turn it over to our 3 wingman students.
Hi, hello. My name is Piyush. This is my second year as a wingman leader. I'm in 8th grade.
Hi, my name is Lily. This is my first year as a wingman leader, and I am in 7th grade.
Hi, my name is Amanda, and this is also my first year as a wingman leader, and I'm in 7th grade.
Today, as Ms. Sadler stated, we'll be doing an activity that we did with your kids a couple of weeks ago. And I think Lily and Amanda will explain what we will be doing.
Yeah. So usually when we first get into the classrooms, we state the Wingman Pledge and the 5 ideals with the students so they know exactly what ideals they're going to be focusing on during the activity that we do. And also we normally share a little bit of some background information behind the program and how it was founded. So you can see right here.
So our activity we did was, I'm sure you were informed that you needed like anything that you could draw with, or like colored pencils and a paper. So 2020 has been a difficult year. Our routines have been interrupted, and this is a new normal for now. So what we would like you to do is draw some pictures or symbols on the paper in front of you that help you stay healthy and happy physically and mentally throughout this pandemic. And you guys will have 4 minutes to do so.
And these pictures can be really, really simple. I think Lily has an example, but it doesn't have to be very artistic.
Yeah, so this is my example. Like, here are some things that keep me happy mentally and physically during remote learning, like my family, doing like school. It keeps me in a routine. So certain things like that, you can just draw like simple symbols or simple pictures. It doesn't have to be too artistic.
You guys have just about 40 seconds remaining, so try to finish up your drawings. Alright, time's up.
So even if you're not done, it's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay, so in a couple of minutes, you guys will be placed in breakout rooms of 4 to 5 people. In your breakout rooms, you were just presenting what you guys did. Just hold up your paper and talk briefly about it, why you drew it, what it represents, and try to have your camera on. And while sharing, keep one thing in the back of your head. Try to listen for like commonalities, the things you share in all your drawings. And once time is up, you receive a notification when it's time to return to the main room.
Yeah.
I think we will be put in the breakout rooms too, because I don't think there's a way that we can be kept in
Yeah.
the main room.
Again.
Okay, so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms now. And parents, you should be automatically entered into those rooms. And then when the breakout rooms close, you'll be pulled back into the main room.
If you have any questions, you can come back to the main room.
Okay, it looks like everyone is back out of their breakout rooms. So Wingman, I'm going to let you guys do your wrap-up activity.
Thank you. Okay, so now that everyone is back from the breakout rooms, usually with the students after the activity is completed, we like to reflect on how the activity embodies the wingman philosophies. Why did we do this activity in the first place? And one of the main questions for this activity, what commonalities did you see? And this is very important because this can help you form new friendships, new relationships because of these commonalities between you and your other group members. So that's why we wanted you to keep that in mind when you were presenting to one another.
And usually after we go over the reflection questions, we would usually at the end of the session go over the Wingman Pledge and the 5 ideals as we saw in the beginning. And we would make everyone recite it, like, so they can remember these 5 ideals.
And that's basically a sped up version of what we would do in a classroom. And now we'll just give some like closing remarks. Like our own personal experience. My own personal experience is phenomenal. Like I honestly enjoyed every day that I've been in this program. And like I would like you guys to remember from this little small activity that we did, however small and simple this may be, it's the message of it's like humongous. And as Mr. Hockley stated, like small things like this, like these small activities, these small changes can cause a ripple effect across our entire community and our school, making us more connected during this isolated time where we're not seeing each other face to face.
Yeah, I agree with Piyush. I mean, I think this program definitely educates others on the importance of these peer connections, which are very crucial to making sure that because these peer connections can benefit everyone in their own lives. We have to make sure, especially in these struggling times when we are so separated, that we still have these connections and we are still very close.
Like both Piyush and Lily said, it's really important for us to have these connections because of how we're isolated. We're in a pandemic right now. And not only is it good for the students we're presenting to, but it's also good for us Wingman leaders because we also get to work with other peers that we normally wouldn't talk to. We get to meet new people, and like it's not only like just learning about like how these connections are important, but it's also really fun, and like you can interact with other people, which I think is the best thing about Wingman. You get to interact with other people, make new bonds, and I heard lots of good conversations in the breakout room I was in. So I feel
Yeah, I
honored
did
to
too.
be in the Wingman program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's time for you guys to ask us questions. So feel
Yeah.
free to ask us anything you're thinking about.
Yeah,
Or
any of
Miss
us
Anna.
in the room will answer.
I don't have a question, but kudos to you guys. Amazing. You guys are doing so great. I love your content.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Would you be able to stop the screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Excellent.
For the Wingman leaders. So I understand you meet up with each grade or students, I believe, right? Is it on a monthly basis or every week?
It's on a monthly basis. Like every month we meet with 6th and 7th grade students.
Yeah, so
And how
monthly.
many students are in your class in each one? Like, is there, like, what does it range in each?
Around like 25 to 30ish, like a normal class.
Yeah. We usually come to science and social studies classes once every month or so, and it's definitely in the range of about 24 to 30 students about.
Wow, that's a lot. That's great. Great job, guys.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily, Piyush, and Amanda. You did an excellent job. I had the opportunity to attend one of your sessions, and just like there, people made so many connections in the breakout rooms. I enjoyed being in the breakout room and listening to all the great ideas people had of what they did in the pandemic. So thank you for bringing everybody together with this activity.
And one of the things that I wanted to say, you know, to the parents is to support your students in these type of activities. So whether it's you decide to organize an activity for them and let them kind of go into breakout rooms to socialize, whether it's to encourage them to turn their cameras on, that's a really difficult thing for us to get middle school kids to do. I get it. We were all in middle school and we don't want to, you know, see ourselves on camera, but it's if we can't be in person, it's really important for them to be able to see the teacher to see them to see their breakout room or the kids that they're working with. So, you know, encourage them or work with them on breaking that anxiety. You know, we try to support that here and encourage them to do that, but it's really important. And then, you know, being open to different activities and giving it a try and finding some commonality. That would be a wonderful thing to support the children with as well. So
I saw in the chat some parents asking about how to get involved in the program, and Piyush had a really great response in there that by being a member of Woodrow Wilson, we're hoping that all students are members of this program, and that they're involved in the activities and that they take something from one of those activities and are able to apply it with a group of friends, or once we're back in person if they see someone in the hallway. But Ms. Corioso, I don't know, maybe you could speak to the process for becoming wingman leaders?
Yeah, I was just typing it in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
So, it's okay. No. In the beginning of the school year, this is our second year doing this. We invite 7th and 8th graders to apply for the position of being a leader. And then we get some, you know, input from teachers and guidance, and then administration, and we look through them, and you know, we choose leaders. But you know, when we're in the classroom, we always promote, like, with the leaders and with the students, like, you know, this is your job, like, as good human beings, like, in the world, to look for, you know, people who need to be included or need to want to feel part of a community. And it's funny how our leaders can pick these kids out in a classroom when they're doing activities, and they work to bring these students in and, you know, help them to feel more secure and feel part of, you know, Woodrow Wilson or the class that they're in. So, you know, everyone promotes this in their own way, but if any of your children are interested in being leaders at the beginning of each school year, we do send out applications to be part of the program.
Thank you, Ms. Quarioso. And I would just like to add that in addition to Wingman program, there are many other opportunities at Woodrow Wilson for kids to be a part of SEL. We have 3 clubs that are very SEL focused. You know, we set out newsletters. So, you know, there's always a place kids can find to be a part of. So if you're interested, you could reach out to any one of us, and, you know, we'll connect you with the resources.
I would just like to say that I've known this Wingman program since Beth initially brought it to Edison, but I'm just so overly proud that you're able to continue this through the computer, and hopefully more and more students will get involved in it, because this is probably one of our biggest fears, that their SEL is not being attended. And this is a great way for it to happen. I didn't want to leave that breakout room. You didn't give us enough time.
I wanted to hear the rest of your story.
But it's the idea that when you truly have, it was just a taste. And I think if you give others the chance to see it, more and more people, like if I was a student, I would want to come back more often. So this way we could see what others were thinking, and I could put more of my feelings to it. And this is how we can stay in touch, because yes, we are still remote, and no one knows when we'll be able to get back to a normal classroom. So this is a perfect way of reaching out, and I'm just so proud of you. And I thank you, ladies, for doing what you're doing. And I thank you, leaders, for being fabulous. Thank you. And so does he.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if anyone else has any questions for Mr. Hockley or for our student leaders or teachers that are here today. So I'll just leave a few more minutes if anyone has some final thoughts or questions that they would like to add. And then we will conclude our coffee chat for today.
Hi, I just want to add a few things. I want to thank Ian Hockley for joining us today. I really appreciate all that you do. It's been an honor. When I joined your first meeting when you came to school, I was really inspired by what you do. I also want to thank all the teachers that joined this leadership program, the Wingman program, which we have. I would love to see alumni come back, like, you know, for those who moved on, to just hear about what they've been doing since they left middle school, and just to come back and just share their ideas with the new ones, like the new Wingman, you know, leaders that are in our school, to give them ideas of how they've continued using this program and later on in their years. So I would love to see something like that. I also want to thank Mrs. Blevins, Mrs. Mendarata, Ms. Sedler, Mr. Zucchino for all this, for putting this together, as well as Ms. Sedler. So of course she's in charge of this. Elizabeth Conway for joining. I really appreciate that she's a board member, took the time to come and join this chat. Thank you for all the parents as well for participating in this chat. I really appreciate this and joining this wonderful experience. Thank you again, Ian, for all you do. And I just wanted to add that before we go.
Thank you guys so much. Mr. Hockley, you are an amazing person. Thank you so much for bringing this program to our schools and our school leaders to implement it and make it happen for our kids. You guys are doing an amazing job. And I don't know if you get that told even through the Zoom calls, but you are simply amazing. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being the greatest teachers on the planet.
Okay, everyone, I think we're going to end here for today. I just also want to say thank you to Mr. Patel. He's also a newly elected board member who's here with us today, and also a parent. So we're blessed we have him for both in both regards. But thank you, Mr. Hockley, for your time. We really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to have you at Woodrow Wilson. We always learn so much. And thank you, parents, teachers, and students. And students, exceptional job today, leading us. So round of applause for them. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
so much.
you.
Bye.
Bye.